All right, so I'm Anna Walter, and I've been homeschooling this is our 14th year. I graduated my oldest last year, and we have been using MasterBooks for 3 years. So I'm going to show you some MasterBooks that I have. I have a lot. So if you have questions, you can type it in the chat or even go ahead and unmute, and that will work too. All right. Hold on, my computer wants to restart. There we go. Never mind, we're good. So I'm going to be using this to keep me on track. It's their catalog. You can go on to masterbooks.com and order a catalog, or you can even download it. So MasterBooks is a young earth biblical worldview. They believe in the 7 days of creation with the young earth. Their mission statement is ink on paper to impact eternity. And it says here, we believe your students are part of a remnant that God has prepared for such a time as this. You are doing significant work as you train your student to be tomorrow's world changers. MasterBooks is a tool to help you at that task. MasterBooks is big on you are the teacher, and their curriculum is a tool that you use. So use it how it fits your family. They have a scope and sequence in their thing to help show you what courses line up where. You can also buy the basic 4 sets. We have that also. I'm going to start with the Simply K. This is by Carrie Bailey, and she is an author for them. This is a developmental approach to preschool. Kind of tells you about the course and how to use the course, how they have set it up for you to use. The 6-week milestones that they have kind of tell you what you want your child to kind of know before you move on. So week 6, I know my colors and can sort animals, and there's a checklist. Week 12, I can cut and make healthy food choices. This is play-based. They give you some ideas for play, if you can see that there. So there's Play-Doh and different things, cutting, puzzles, books. This is a 3-day course, and you can see you can mark off as you go along. It helps kind of keep you on track. So the first stone, step 1, is they have, you can see you're going to draw lines, and then they also have making connections. There's Bible heroes and a memory verse. And they're all like that. And when you get to your first milestone, they have congratulations, a little certificate for you, and it shows what your child can identify. She also did the Simply K. I do not have Simply K because I don't have a child using it. And that is developmental also. And that has a lot of life skills in it and fine motor skills. It's not just learning sounds and letters like some people think. There's a lot. It's pretty meaty. And then let's go to language arts. For first grade, you would use the Foundation Phonics for the first half, and this is by Carrie Lindquist, so your first semester would be that. And every MasterBooks has a suggested schedule in it, which I love. And it has like, you write the date in it and then mark when it's done. And it tells you like, day 1, do this, day 2, do this, and where to find it. So I love that in all their courses. And then, so a lot of this, because I used it, let's see. It goes through the Bible. And it starts with creation, and then like CH is child, a child was born, and it gives a story about Christ being born. And then there's a coloring page, and then there's the phonics that goes with it to read. You can see that. Let's open it up this way. So that is phonics. And then the second half of first grade would be language lessons 1. And this is by this whole series all the way up to level 6, which is geared towards a 6th grader, is done by Kristen Pratt. I couldn't think of her name. And this starts simple. It starts with, you're going to use a book called Not So Small. It's a really cute book about a mouse. And you read it along with your child, and they read like one sentence, and then you read the rest. And it builds on them reading. So you can see like here, for the first sentence, once upon a time, long, long ago when I was a young mouse. It gives the phonics sign so you can read it there. And then also the next page would have day 1, the sight words that they would have you do. So this is all included for the student. This is all you would need for language lessons 1, along with the 3 books that go with it that you read. There. Language lessons is pretty much all laid out kind of the same way. Let's see. Well, this one's 3 days. I'll go to the next one. It's easy. So like language lessons 2 here. So it starts simple because it's a review, but you can see in the table of contents, like you start with the letters, there's picture stories. So day 1 is a special feature or a short story. So you can see. Day 2 is learning about writing topics such as grammar and punctuation. Day 4, create a story, poem, or psalm. And then day 5 focuses on spelling and vocabulary. And all of the language lessons, this is how it's laid out. So this is just review. Let's see. And as you get further in here, it talks about plurals. And there's copy work to do. Copy the days of the week and their abbreviations. So in the back of these books, you also have independent reading lists to help you keep track of what you're reading. You also have recommended book list by MasterBooks is from their curriculum. Go this way. They also have the create your own dictionaries. There are words on day 5 that you will put in the dictionary. And this is a lot of fun. So you can see like you would put A, B, C, D, and keep track alphabetically of your vocabulary words. And they ask you just to write the word, a definition, small definition, and draw a picture of it. There's also activities and games in the back that they give you ideas on how to reinforce things if your child is struggling. There's an alphabet matching game, days of the week. Simon says nouns, proper nouns, and pronouns. Irregular nouns, sentence drawing. So there's a lot of fun. There's spelling practice back here. If you can see that, there's spelling practice. Kind of tells you, gives you ideas on how to do the spelling. Here is your spelling list in the back. Some people have cut these out and laminated them. It's easier for them. And then there's copy work, like if they need practice on their alphabet or nouns and stuff like that. There's copywork in the back that you can use. It's nice because their copyright policy is that you can make copies for your immediate family. So you can make extra copies of these if your child is having a hard time. You have compound words, so you just write what a compound word is, copywork again. Days of the week, numbers, and then here's back here, grammar study sheets to help. So usually we would tear these out and have them available for the student. That way they could see and look up what they need to look up, just to help them. So it talks what a sentence is, a subject, and sentence combining, commas, stuff like that.
So that, at the beginning of the book where you showed the chart of what happens each day, when you said, and it tells you where to find it, you meant like in the, a daily lesson may contain something from the beginning of the book, the middle of the book, and the end of the book?
So, well, it would tell you like, read story on page 19, complete lesson 1, exercise 1. If there's stuff from the back of the book, they would tell you the page that it would be on. Like here it says, complete lesson 9, exercise 5, page 107 and 8. Review 1, which is optionals, pages 387 to 388.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And then all of your answers are in the back of the book. So they're all there. Language lessons 3, 4, and 5 are the same, but they use a book. Your stories come out of here, out of the 101 favorite stories of the Bible. And what you do with those it gets a little harder as you just use 5. So here it says like Proverbs 1, 1 through 7, you're gonna read that. Oh, that's not the book. You're gonna do oral narration. There's a note to the teacher, so if the teacher needs to do something, a reminder for the teacher, they put those in there. There's memorization. So usually on day 1 of the week, you will have some kind of story. So I have not done level 5 yet, so. Oh, here it is. On day 4, you can see it asks you questions about the story you read and draw a picture. So it's just comprehension, making sure, and some critical thinking.
By that level, is it largely independent?
Yes, yes. And these are like a Charlotte Mason flavor, so they're short, and there's not a ton of information or busy work. It's written to the homeschooler. So level 6 is the same, except for you will use the 10-minute Bible journey with it. And they also have, like in the front of the book, they tell you exactly what to look for and like exactly how to use it, like in the about this course. I made the mistake of not reading the front of the book and then I was lost. So read the front and the back of the book. So it talks about creating your own dictionary, book reports, Bible scholars. So day 4 of the week ends with Bible scholars. This is meant to provide thought-provoking application to topics the student has been studying. They also prepare a student for independent growth in their Christian walk. The child needs a separate notebook to complete this Bible scholar. There's also reviews for fun, and then there's teacher's aids in the back of the book. And you can see, like 6th grade, it's harder, it's more challenging than the 5th grade book, So and this also has like the books of the Bible, you learn the books of the Bible, there's word searches, so it challenges you in different ways. Right, any questions?
Is there a test to determine level? Like if you have a kid who was an early reader and those first grade ones would be way too easy.
Yes, so online they do have readiness tests that help you place your child. So they have that for the language arts and math. So junior high, turn my page here. So junior high, and high school, they have what's called writing strands. Now there used to be an old writing strands, and it used to be like second grade, third grade, and it had a bird cage on it. Well, this has been redone, and I love writing strands. We've used it for 3 years, and it alternates reading and writing. So like on this one, it has like skills met, so you can review the skills that have been met. Now spelling is built in to where it's more this Charlotte Mason approach where it comes from what your common misspelled words are. So writing strands is geared for like 7th, 8th, and up. And again, they have the schedule in the front. So this is Writing Strands Intermediate 1. And I'll show you. That's fine. It starts out simple, and it takes you a minute to get your brain wrapped around it, especially if you're used to the traditional things. So my daughter did this page already because she wanted to start early, and then I said, no, you have to wait. So writing day 1, it says, I will work through the process of writing a sentence to show you how easy it is, and then you will do the same thing. When you're done, you'll be able to say, writing really good sentences is easy. So she had to pick a subject, which she picked boys, and the information you want to give the reader, they're stinky and naughty. Organize this information the best way. Boys are very stinky and very naughty. And then it says, write a sentence containing that information in that order. So she wrote it again, and then it says, it gives you the steps on how to do it to help you through it. So this is kind of like an out-of-the-box, not your typical black and white language arts. And then it gets harder. So it walks you through the different steps. And then day 2, it builds on that. Day 3, again, it builds off of that even more. And then day 5, it shows you how to write the paper and how they want it. So it does get tougher. It seems basic. When we first started, we started at the very beginning with Writing Strands Beginners 1, and it said, write something about a pencil. And I was like, this is really silly about writing about a pencil. But as it went on, you really caught on to, oh, hey, I get it now. It builds off of each other. And honestly, language arts teaches us how to communicate. And that's exactly what this does, is it teaches you how to communicate in a creative way. And then reading is on the next week. Let's see here. Like this one, it talks about like a main point outline for your writing. So it does get a little bit more challenging, even though it seems basic at first. So reading, they have you read and discuss with your teacher. So this is about, yes, sweetheart, about order of events. So one reason that it's easier to understand cause and effect in the plot, if you know the order that things happen. The cause is the why something happens, and the effect is the thing that happens. So they're asking you, they're telling you what it is, and you discuss it. You also pick a book to read that week. It can be any book of the parent's choice. And then on day 2 of the reading, they have you read the following Bible passage. You can see. And this is in Genesis. And then it asks, who is this passage about? And what is the culture and historical setting? What is the genre of this passage? Is it history, poetry, prophecy, proverbs, letters, parables, etc.? What is the intended meaning of this passage? Can you list another Bible passage that helps define this meaning? And then once the original meaning is understood, seek to find a simple life application. And then the next day, because you're still learning about the cause and effect, it asks you to discuss this with your teacher. So you would discuss that. I also asked my children in the Bible passage that they're reading about the cause and the effect, the plot, so that way they know and they can see it in everything. There's different literary terms that they go throughout the book. So one was irony, and so I think they were in Psalms reading it. So I asked my child, I said, do you see the irony? Do you see the different, there was metaphors and similes and different things like that. So they can see it and they can understand it. So again, it is discuss the passage this week. Isaac gives Jacob his blessing. What caused this to happen? What happened because Isaac blessed Jacob instead of Esau? And then write a paragraph describing it. And then this one is read and discuss the book. And it talks about genres again. And that's throughout the whole thing. The answers, did not know this for the longest time. Answers are in the back of the book. There's also, let's see here. There's helpful terms in the back. So it'd be great to tear these out and have them close to your students so they could see them also. Writing Strands has, it's called a teacher's companion. This down. And this is for all the levels. So it goes from beginner 1 all the way up to advanced 2. And advanced 2 actually uses the Pilgrim's Progress throughout it. So this is great for the parent to read, and it just discusses the goal of writing Strands and helping your student write. So different things to help. It also goes through important terms and common problems, apostrophes, your audience, cliche, awkward writing, different things. A friend of mine has purchased this for every one of her kids, and they keep it with them and they highlight what they need to highlight in it. And if they're struggling with something, she uses it as copy work. They would copy whatever it is they were struggling with. So here's also like understanding the elements of fiction. So it'll tell you setting, characters, conflict, resolution, point of view, setting, understanding setting by time, clothing style, clothing type, dialogue, mechanics, or I'm sorry, machines, and modes of transportation. And then in the back of this is also a scope and sequence of writing Strands, and it goes level 1. It's designed through 5th through 8th grade. It focuses on skill, sentence variety, paragraphing, and writing narratives. So there's different things, and then the reading analysis skills that they learn. So each level gives you their scope and sequence in it. And this is a huge help. So they also have, Melissa will like this one, Jensen's grammar.
Yay!
So any questions about writing Strands? I'm sorry. No? All right. So this is Jensen's grammar. This is geared for high school level. There's grammar, format writing, punctuation, and vocabulary. And these are a lot more black and white. These were very intimidating to me because I'm not a black and white person. So this is, like, it'll go through pronouns and it gives you examples of the pronouns. And then personal pronouns and case, and then you have your worksheets in it, so it's all in one. It's all a consumable. And then you have more complicated things with the verb cluster syntax, and it teaches you them, same thing, and then you go through and there's review. So it gets a lot more complicated as you go along. It starts out basic and then gets harder. A lot of this stuff I didn't know existed when I went through this with my daughter. So adjectives.
Is that daily added on to the other, onto writing strands?
No, this is a standalone course that is 180 days that you would get 1 credit for.
Okay.
So, yes. And you can see like the table of contents. Oh, there's also charts that it comes with that you can tear out for your student. So it gives you the different grammar charts. Again, it's 5 days a week. You can see that. So. And it even tells you on here, day 12 or day 27, lesson 12, verb forms, extra practice assignments available on free download, and you would find that on MasterBooks.
Going back to all of the language arts levels, how long, is it 180 lessons in all of them?
All of them, the phonics and language lessons 1 are used the same year. They are the 18 weeks. So grammar terms are in here also. Same with the punctuation. Short answers, it starts out easy and then builds. And then they have you do it. So I have not used the punctuation, but here it has you make corrections and it shows you. Again, the answers are in the back. I know you were mentally doing that. So this, again, the answers, you can see the answers are in the back.
I just want to say for anybody who is listening or who will watch this later that the reason we're discussing number of days is because a lot of curricula will follow a 36-week of the year plan. And so 180 days is 36 weeks, 5 days a week. Obviously, you can change it up as you see fit for your family, but a lot of curricula are based on that typical school year time. It doesn't mean you have to use it that way, but a lot of them are set up that way.
Yes. So and then there's vocabulary. This can be used over 2 years. It's very thick. They also have that's Greek. That's not Greek to me, and it so it would go, it'd pair nicely with this. These talk a lot about root words and prefixes and suffixes. And then there is, again, there's format writing, and this will teach you how to do 5 paragraph essays, not 5 page, I'm sorry. So this is, again, taught to the student, and the student would read it and then follow the directions. There's also, MasterBooks has Stowbaugh's literature, and I have the American literature. And that comes with the teacher's guide and the book, the student text. This is critical thinking, very literature-based, where he has you reading different books. Let's see here. It talks about worldviews, a lot in here. Different time periods. So you can see it starts all the way at the beginning. So it goes through the Renaissance, modern ages, contemporary, and it has the student text in here. So everything they need to answer will be in the book. So the parts that they are reading. What I did with my daughter is we went through this book and she picked every book that was interesting to her and she read it from front to back, and we spent a lot of time on those books and understanding those books. And then the ones that she wasn't interested in, we just did we just used the student text and answered the questions in the teacher's guide. So now the teacher's guide, you'll see some books have a teacher's guide. This has all of your worksheets in it. It has your tests, your quizzes, and your answers. And again, you use it for however it best fits your family. If you don't want to do tests and quizzes, that's fine. If you have them open book, that's fine too. That's why it's a teacher's guide, so that way you can use it how you see fit. So tells you the chapter objectives, what they wanted you to learn in there. And then the assignments, there's assignments on there. My daughter used a separate notebook for this. It's easier for her to write in it. So those are the language arts options for MasterBooks.
And does the teacher's guide for that one have some guidance for you, like when she writes that essay and answering those questions that you just showed, sort of what her answers should be like?
Let me see here. So in the back,
it's one of those things where there's not necessarily a right answer, and so some kind of help for making sure that her essay or response did have some of the right themes in it.
so they have, so it says like in the chosen, no, not that one. But yes, there is, you can see that there is, kind of do it that way, where the answers are in there. So that does help guide you to see, and there's essays, guidance on the essays. So I know some people are black and white, where it's like, just tell me what's right and wrong, and some of us are kind of more free-flowing. What we use with writing Strands, it's called Christian Reading Companion, and this is by James Stobaugh also. It helps you analyze classics from a Christian perspective. And so younger readers, it has books by age group, like younger readers and older readers. Younger readers, there's Black Beauty, The Chosen, David Copperfield, The Hiding Place, Little Women, Kidnapped, Oliver Twist. For the more mature, there's Daisy Miller, The Great Gatsby, Intruder in the Dust, Julius Caesar, The Jungle. So it breaks it down fairly easy.
What's considered a younger reader for that?
I would say middle school level.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just let my kids, my high schoolers, pick whichever ones they want. So, like here it says I'll come over here, The Chosen. And it gives you the objective test, suggested vocab words, what chapter to find them in, and then discussion questions. So I know a lot of people like the classics. We like the classics also, so this was a huge help. And we found most of them Kindle or the library, or I even put stuff up on Facebook. Hey, any of my friends have these books, and get them loaned to us. So, any questions? No? All right. My daughter has a blue horse. All right, so now we're going to go on to math. And what they use for math, let me turn my page here. It is Math Lessons for Living Education. Again, it's Charlotte Mason inspired or flavored. I tear my pages out so you'll see a big gap in here. And it's about Charlie and Charlotte that are twins, and it's in a story. They go to their grandpa's farm, their grandparents' farm, and they learn, in level 2, they're at home and their mom's pregnant, I'm sorry. So they encountered 20 energetic kicks. Charlotte had counted up to 50. Charlie and Charlotte simply could not wait to see their new little sister. And then on the next page, because it's talking about praise value, it continues to go into it. And then they're talking about time. It'll talk about time in here, and then it's your turn to help Charlie and Charlotte with the time. So exercise 2, day 2, I must have tore that out. And then exercise 2, day 2, there's copy work, and then you're done for the day. That's all. Addition, double-digit addition. Again, there's the story. It talks about it, about apples and Charlie and Charlotte, and it shows you in here how they lined them up to add them. And then it'll tell you, oh, get your mat out and try it. And then here, go ahead and do it here and write the numbers. So, and there's hundreds charts in the back, and it tells you, grab your hundreds chart and point out every even number and say it out loud. They also have what's called right brain flashcards that you use, and those are, it'll say like 5 plus 2 equals 7, and it has the answer on there, which is totally not what I was taught, but it helps them take the picture with their brain, and then they remember it, and as they go over it and continuously do it, that's how they catch on to it and learn to do it. So again, level 3, solving for unknowns. So everyone was so excited, the clinic was finished. So again, story, a little fun with it. So there's mastery and review built into it. And again, it's just small bits. So like here it says draw lines to the correct answer: 1 week, 1 pound, 1 foot, 1 yard, 1 quart, 3 feet, 12 inches, 7 days, 2 pints, and 16 ounces. So that's day 2, exercise 2, day 2, exercise 2, and then day 3, exercise 3. So, or that's day 1. If it has anything written to the teacher, it tells you, you can see in the gray area here, it kind of tells you note to teacher. Again, the stuff is found, the answers are found in the back, but also there's manipulatives in the back. There's a place value village, there's a counting mat, a hundreds counter, a chart, multiplication for copy work, division facts for copy work, and a multiplication chart. And this goes all the way up to level 6 also. It also, Angela Odell wrote a teaching companion to go with it, and this is for the parent. This is, I love this thing because it's like she's speaking right to the person. So it encourages the homeschool mom or dad, understanding the method and the approach of the math lessons for living education. And then also there's the scope and sequence. And a lot of people have said MasterBooks is behind, but actually their scope and sequence is just different from other scope and sequences. So and then it helps you how to teach it. Talks about the place value village that I had talked about. Gives you ideas for the different flashcards there. There's the multiplication and division flashcards. Let's see. So then it goes through and it tells you like what day you're going to do stuff for the charts of facts by level. And it shows you like level 2, you can even do the triangle cards on there. So Charlie and Charlotte, they also like to cook. And so every book has recipes in it, and then the math teaching companion has all of the recipes. So they're all there. So different things. Grandma's hearty beef stew, Grandma's buttermilk biscuits, oatmeal from level 2. There's wildlife energy muffins, bagels for birds. So different things, really neat things to cook. It helps bring the real world math to the child. So different things. There's also in this, there is the storyline of Charlie. Oh, there's games also. So if your child needs help with extra things, there's different things on how to help them. So there's the family tree with Charlie and Charlotte, because this goes from level 1 all the way to level, level K all the way to level 6. There's the storyline of the family. And then there's also the readiness tests are in here. So for level 1, it kind of shows you if they can do these things, and then you go on to level 2 and they cannot complete those things, your child would be ready for level 1. You can also use these like to see if they have passed the level they just did.
Is that readiness a readiness test for math online too, so you know where to start?
Yep. So it's online also. There's a little link that says readiness tests. So level 3, it even, tells you, shows you what, kind of what they do each level, or what they should be doing before they start that level. So, let's see. And this, I wish we would have found this, because math was hard at our house when my daughter was younger, or my oldest daughter was younger. It was tears, and she really thought she was dumb and couldn't figure things out. When we started algebra, she's like, I'm stupid, I'm done, I'm never gonna get this. And we actually found, it's called Principles of Math, which I'll show you next. There's also the solutions for the readiness test in the back. So, Principles of Math is what led us to MasterBooks. It's what we love. This is for junior high, 7th and 8th grade. Yeah, 7th and 8th grade. And these two can count as a pre-algebra. So, and Kate Hannon, there's also an e-course where she it's called MasterBooks Academy, and they have supplement videos to help teach the courses, and the author of this is actually on there, and she goes through each lesson and helps teach each lesson. So this starts out talking about why math is important and why we need math. So there's kind of a lot of reading at first. And it even talks about like the Tower of Babel in there, so it brings the biblical worldview to it. This is about different place value systems as you start out. And then as you go along, there's different graphs, different charts.
You have a question from chat, and that is if the Academy videos, is that an extra charge or is that included with the curriculum?
It is an extra charge, yes. I don't know the charge because it's a brand new thing and I have never used them because my kids and I have always been able to figure it out, but some people need them and some kids need them, so yeah. Different charts and averaging. So this is the student text, so it just teaches you, and then there's the teacher's guide that has the problems in it. And a lot of the times my kid just kind of read over this, got the idea of it, and then was able to figure it out on here. It's pretty self-explanatory. There were a couple things that one child did have issues with that we did have to kind of stop and slow down. And again, even the quizzes are in here. Each quiz is in here. And the answers are in here. They're not in this one because she took them out, but the answers come in here also. Then there is the Principles of Math 2. So this would probably be for like 8th grade. Is this the, again, talking about it. There's it's all taught to the student, and it gives the examples of it. It even talks like here, talks about latitude and longitude.
There's another question, and that is, do you feel that this prepared them well for high school math?
Yes, so my daughter who thought she was dumb, we did the Principles of Math 1 and Principles of Math 2, and she went on to Jacob's Algebra, which I'll show you next, and did it independently without any issues. She had a couple questions, you know, hey mom, how do I do this? But other than that, she was able to sail through it, and she got done with these courses and she goes, I get math. I know why and how math is used. So I can't say enough good things about these courses. So, and this is, so I've used it with my oldest, my second oldest, and then my third oldest is going into 9th, but she will be using the Principles of Math 2 because we didn't stick with what worked and needed to go back and repeat some things. So I thought, oh, hey, this is cheaper. We'll go over here and do this. Don't ever do that. If it works, don't fix it. And then again, the teacher or the teacher's guide. And again, the schedule is in here and it tells you what pages that you will read in the student text and then what pages you do in this book. So it helps line it out. And there's plenty of room. Sometimes I even questioned if my kids did things because there's a lot of space. I'm like, that doesn't look done, and it was done. It was just a lot of space. All right, I'll go into the algebra. So this is, my son used this last, so forgive the no cover. So he, yes, I've used this with 2 kids now, and This is Jacob's algebra, or Harold's Jacob. He has been around for a long, long time. You can see there's the book, there's the solutions manual with all the answers in it, and then also the teacher's guide. And this comes with DVDs. I think those are being put onto the MasterBooks Academy also. And I believe that Kate Hannon is doing these also. So she's teaching them on there.
Just to clarify one thing, so if somebody has an older student who doesn't start with MasterBooks from the beginning, are there readiness tests online to place where you should be in junior high and high school?
Yes, absolutely.
Stephanie, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt, so I'm just chatting.
You're fine.
Thank you.
So the Jacobs, let's see here. It'll teach you, like lesson 3 is teaching you multiplication, different ways to do it, and then it's showing you how to do it and the unknown variable there. And then in the exercises, it has in the book, you do it. My children used a notebook. It was just easier for them to use a notebook. Let's see. There's more sets in here if they need more practice, set 3. What I did with my children is I just had them do set 1 and set 2 and have them do every other. So they would do like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and then on set 2 they'd do like A, C, and then here A, C, E, G. And if they got an 80% or better, we just moved on. If they didn't, then they just went back and they did the problems that were not completed. So because there's a lot of problems as you go on, like there's the set 3 and then there's a set 4. So again, it's just how we used it and what fit our family, and it worked well. So you learn, yeah, algebra with this. I know it says elementary algebra, but it is not elementary whatsoever. So, and he has been around for a really long time. And the solutions manual, some of them like kind of tell you how they got the answer, if you can see real small there. So it does kind of walk you through a little bit on some of the problems on how they got there, so you can help your student. There's also the tests in here. There's multiple tests in here, which is nice. So if they fail the test and you want them to redo it, there's like test A, B, and C. Like this is test 5D. So I was actually able to use this book with 2 kids, and I'll use it again when my 3rd gets there. And then geometry, I do not have the solutions manual or the teacher's guide because we tossed it because I was like, oh, we're done, get rid of it, which I was trying to get rid of clutter. So here's the algebra or the geometry again. My son, never let a boy have a hardcover book. So it's the same thing, a short lesson, and they show you how to do it, and then you have your problems. So there's not a lot of busy work, and we did the same thing. I let them skip problems every other. So, and my son, who did this, and he's math-minded, there's even like here it says another SAT problem, so to get you prepared for the SATs. My son completed this course for 10th grade with an 89. So it's good, it's solid, and he learned a lot. So, any questions? Okay. So now we're done with math. They're also coming out with, hold on, let me find it here. They're coming out with an Algebra 2 this year. It'll be ready in September. The COVID-19 has slowed production down a lot, so they're coming out with an Algebra 2. It is done by Kate Hannon, the same person that did the Principles of Math. And again, she uses real world math. So, oh dear, we got more stuff. I got to make my cart. I got too much. All right.
Would you say there's a good grading system on how to grade the math there in the books?
Yes. Let's see. I know in the front, I'm going to tell you how to do it. Can't remember which one. We've been doing it so long that I'm not quite sure. So what I always did is I took the number of problems they did and the number they got right over the amount of problems they did and divided it, and that's how I graded it. That's right, right? Yeah, yeah. And that's how, yeah. So, science. Nope. We're doing social studies, sorry. So social studies and history. We have so many choices that can fit your family, and you can do things like the history and stuff, you can do it family style, which I really like. So this is my story, and this is for about first grade. And this will take you around the world, and it's not a lot of busy work. It just kind of tells you, gives you a little story. There's words that you can, if you wanted to, you could do something with those words, like put them on index cards and keep them if you wanted to. So this is sailing a cruise ship to Africa, and there's pictures. And so what we did with my son is that we read through it, and if he got bored, we just talked about the pictures. There's different talking time and activity time. He liked to color, so like he would color the picture, and then there's a word search, and he would race to see who could find the words fastest, and he really liked that also. There's talk time, and then draw a picture. So there's different things that you can do with it. And this goes through, this is about the world around you and different transportation. I really enjoyed this course with my son, and this is also there's copy work that you can do. Until he gained his confidence, what I had done, like where I'd ask questions, I would write in highlighter and have him write over it, and it worked really well. So you can also do it orally. So there's also My Story 2 for about second grade. And this, we'll talk about different types of government. And you can also do a journal with it. So there's an introduction. They tell you about different quest cards that you can do. You can just talk about it. You don't have to feel, I'm not a workbook person. I like to get out of the workbook. So you can see, let's get ready to see the world by canoe. So it just continues on. Gives you different words. Different words to speak in Hawaiian. I know there's Spanish words in here, so different things to really, it's just about exposure to different cultures, which is really cool. There's flag. So it talks about the capital of Vietnam. It talks about the type of government they have. And then just talks a little bit about it. So it's not too terribly in depth, which is what I like because I don't want it to be too far over their head. It's just, hey, here's exposure. What do you like? So for third through sixth grade, Angela Odell has America's Story. And America's Story 1. So here's the table of contents. What I like about her history is she doesn't sugarcoat it. She doesn't what they call whitewash it. She talks about how it's the heart of man and how things, sensitive subjects, it's sin. So she doesn't try and make people out to be great people or anything like that, which I really like. And again, the pictures. So it goes through. So this again is a Charlotte Mason inspired approach. You can add books to it. If you go onto her website, she has a lot of books that you can add to this to make it like a living literature book. Really pretty. So that was the student book, and then there's also the teacher's guide for it, and this is where, again, you'll find all your activities. And if you have more than one student, you can always make copies of this if you don't want to buy 2 books, because you can make copies in your immediate family. So there's a timeline that you do. There's word searches. Pretend you are King George, write a letter to the colonists. So different activities kind of spark your children's interest. Map adventures, they want you to map. The power of words. So tell your favorite part of the story of Benjamin Franklin and tell about the most important task he had. So you can go as in-depth as you would like with this. And then right to the governor. Also, they just came out with the timelines to go with. So the timeline packs. And you can cut these out and laminate them. You can put them on a wall or do a scrapbook, however. They're really, all the My Stories have these. So I'm just kind of skipping around here so you can see them. So they're colorful and give dates. And then if you wanted to put it on your wall, you could cut that out and string along the wall or put it in a notebook. And then they have it for My Story 2 also. So, and this is from the Civil War to the Industrial Revolution. So this would probably be right around grade 4. So these are made to where you can just jump right in. You don't have to read book 1 before you read book 2. So they're pretty standalone, which I really like. Then you don't feel like you're missing out.
At that level, is it how much parental involvement? Are you sitting down and reading this with them? Because 4th grade is right about that time where a lot of curricula switch from being super parent intensive to being a little more independent.
I think what you could do, because we don't have the teacher's guide for this one. I stole these. I did not steal these. I took them from Kayleen. I'm like, I don't have America's Story. I'm like, can I borrow it? So, so yeah, I think that they can be done pretty independent. Maybe read some big words with them, but I think pretty much. Then you can see. So she does a great job of bringing it to life. And it talks about Helen Keller. Oops. the railroad. And there's a lot of fun activities that you can do with these books is what I like too. It can be as hands-on as you want, or hey, we don't have time, let's just move on. So you don't feel obligated to do them all, which I like. So and then American Story 3, which is the 1900s to modern times. Okay, well, can you get that turned down? So that's the airplanes, the Wright brothers, the car. There's the Day of Infamy. So and you can see that the timeline is right up here also. So you can kind of follow along with your timeline packs, or you can make your own timeline. So, different inventions. So talks about the presidents. So really cool, really colorful, and the student books I like because you can hang on to them and always go back to them if you want to, or continue to use them. One less thing you have to purchase for your child. Another elementary thing that they have that would be great with America's Story is it's the fight for freedom, the true stories of America's war for independence. And this is stories about the people. So there are different biographies of them. And again, the color. So they have, let's see. They have George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Rush, the Black Patriots, Daniel Morgan, Daniel Boone, John Hancock, the Patriot Women, Nathan Hale. So they have a lot of different biographies. So this would go great with America's Story also. You could do it like as a read aloud. And then they just acquired Knowledge Quest. And so you've seen Map Trek. And this has, this is the complete collection. There's a CD in here, and so you have like the early church maps. The Roman Empire. And the CD, you can reproduce them so that your child can label them and everything. They have linked maps. So this would be great to for world history. And then so 6th, 7th, and 8th, you have the world story. Whoops, I'm out of order here. So they have world story. So this is the world history for middle school. And this is creation to the Roman Empire. Let's see here. So it just talks about from the Bible, the kings of Israel, and all the way to the Roman Empire. So, and there's maps and stuff in the teacher's guide that you can use, and activities in there. So this is story 2, and this is the fall of Rome through the Renaissance time. So and then it also talks about church history. So there's like Mongolia. So it's really cool. I'm just hitting random pages here. And this is all independent also. So written to the student.
Does it test for knowledge retention?
Is it what?
Is there any kind of testing for knowledge retention with history?
So in the teacher's guide, they do have the review sheets to use with them. They have dig deeper parts where like to look up stuff. You can use the review sheets as review, or you can use them as tests. So however, you can see you can match to make sure they're getting it. So like this one, who am I? Guess who they are. So there's different reviews in there for you. And then there's research aid worksheets also in the back. So these books are filled with a lot. They really help the teacher teach it and the child learn it. So here's like the different research pages. For architecture. If you want to do artist studies during that time, they're back there also. And then they also have build your own castle. So there's different activities in the back that you can do if you have more of a hands-on learner. And then the answers. So you can see there's a timeline with it. You can draw pictures. So use it however it best fits your needs. And then My Story 3, or I'm sorry, World Story 3, not My Story. It is the explorers to the present day. It also talks about like connections. Different words to know. So this is really cool too. It talks about all the way up to the present day and what's going on in our world. And again, there's the worksheets. Some people like to notebook through them. Some people like to just use them as read aloud. So I guess, you know, however it fits your family. So, and then high school, I don't have the American history because they just revised it and I haven't purchased it yet. My kids will use it, but I do have their revised world history. I was gonna have a kid do this and then and a kid do American history, and someone said, hey, it would be smarter if you had both kids do American history together. So yes, it was. So this is revised all in color, and it uses, it's called So Noted by Henry Morris. It's like a, you will go through it. It'll really help you develop a worldview, but it's his study Bible you take notes with. So you can see like it's the Bible up here, the Bible verses, and then the study notes down there. And you will use that with the world history. So you'll just kind of go through. And they added the British history in with the world history, so they're together, which is really cool. So my son did this when it was black and white, and it was a good course, but it's a lot better. I like it a lot better this way. And this, Stoba is very heavy into critical thinking and having the kid think and developing a worldview. These have like true and false, multiple choice. Here's like find the map, copy it. So different activities also. So it's not all, it used to be all essay questions, and that was tough because I had a kid just tell me what to write and a kid that would write for hours. So the redo of this, having the true or false, really helps. And then there's the American history that's not out yet, that will be out, or it is out, it just came out. And then they have, it's the Civics and Constitution, which we're going to be doing this as a family this year because of elections coming up. And it comes with a DVD, and you would watch the DVD for some of the lessons and answer questions in the teacher's guide. And then this also for some of the questions. So it really talks about the Constitution and what each part means and why we have it, and our founding fathers, why it was created. And it also shows you where it comes from out of the Bible, where they took it out of the Bible to put it into our Constitution. So, and this is done by Jake McCauley, and he's a constitutionalist. He's very, if you look him up on YouTube, he has a lot of different things. And then the questions in here. And it tells you, again, like if you should do the DVD or what page number you should read. So it really breaks it down easy for you. And then, you know, answer the questions type of thing. Something else that they have, it's called For You They Signed. And this is about every signer of the Declaration of Independence. And it gives a biography of them. And it's broken down by state or colony. Yeah. Josiah Bartlett. It talks about his life and his part in it. So it goes all the way through. Robert Morris. So it's really interesting. So, and then with the Civics and Constitution, because it is a, it's only a semester. There's the Intro to Economics also. And that's a DVD and a book. So I didn't pull those out. I had enough stuff, so. And then, oh, science. So science, I love MasterBooks' science. It's really nice. So the level 1 is Adventures in Creation. So this is for like about first grade, kindergarten. And this is by Carrie Lindquist. She's really neat. She also wrote the Foundations Phonics, and then she is writing a series of the Let's Talk Science. So the level 2 will be out in July or August, and it's called Adventures in the Physical World, and it's about physical science. So this is really cool. So it's only 3 days a week. It tells you day 1, 2, and 3. And there's a science notebook that you can do with it. So it says, learn, welcome to science. It's really, this would be teacher intense, there you go. Because obviously your first grader's not gonna read all this. And then there's an Imagine That. It's like a historical fiction. What if Adam sat down with his kids and did some of this? So it talks about, it's a really sweet story. I like these. And then an activity, you can see that one was done by one of my kids. So, and they talked a lot about different parts of creation, light, there's about the bees, parts of a flower. It's a really sweet, different hands-on activities to do. It even talks about how you can pollinate things. The life cycle of a bird. So there's a lot of different activities to do with your kids. And God created the animals. So discussion, and then like memorizing verses, so just a lot of different things. So this was a really sweet, I really liked. I had it on PDF too, so. And then they also have, it's called God's Design for Life. Answers in Genesis has originally done it, and Answers in Genesis is like a sister company of MasterBooks. And so they have like God's Design for Heaven and Earth, and they gave MasterBooks permission to print it in their format. So again, it's the student text in it, and the different there's different units, and what I like is you can do these different units, like you can do our weather and water, our universe, and our planet Earth. You don't have to do them in order, you can do them out of order. And then the teacher's guide again, this is where all of your activities will be. Cloud formation, making cloud, and it tells you what you need. So a lot of this stuff is pretty, you have on hand. They came out with also God's Design for Beginners. This is the Life for Beginners. And the God's Design for Life is very similar to the Heaven and Earth with the 2 books. And then this is just for the younger ones that you can do with the older kids. Introduction to Life Science. So there's plants for beginners, the human body for beginners, and animals for beginners. And it goes along with the God's Design for Life, the bigger books, the bigger kids, and that's for 3rd to 8th grade. And they also, they're coming out with a Heaven and Earth Beginners also. They just sent that to print, so you can do it with younger kids and older kids, kind of family style. But they also have anatomy, elementary anatomy, and these are really cool, really pretty books. My kids like reading these books. Talks about your brain. And so this is built for 4th to 6th grade. My daughter did these pretty independent and read just what she needed to read. And then there's activities that go with each one. You don't have to do them in order, so you can go however in the teacher's guide, however you want to do it. So, like the heart, talks about the heart, the different functions of the heart, different discoveries they have made, touch of blood, shows a heart. So really cool. Talks about babies and how their hearts are formed. So really cool. And then it's called Sea, Soil, and Sky. This is the teacher's guide for it. It's more of like a earth science type. The different layers of the earth. So you can see that the activities are all different. It's not the same every day. In those books, you will have the bug book with different bugs in them. So this is what Caleb picked to actually do this upcoming year with his friend. So because they like bugs, so it's really big and really cool. And then it will also have the ecology book with it. And this is part of the Wonders of Creation, also this book. And then you'll also do, it's called the Big Book of Earth and Sky. So it comes wrapped. Let's see here. It's going to be upside down, but it's panels. It's really cool. Let me turn it right side up for you here. So different parts of the earth, and you study each panel on it. Very cool. My kids also like to sit and draw the different things, kind of notebook through it. So something different to do. And then they have the elementary zoology book, and that comes with the zoo adventure. We take this to the zoo with us. My kids have loved it a lot. And it just tells you about different animals, as you can see. Tells you about different animals and their classification. And like giraffes, it tells you interesting facts about giraffes. So that's a fun book. And then they also have the Aquarium book that goes with it, and it's similar to that. Talks about the birds, and there's activities to do in here. Back here in the back, where if you lift this up, there's stuff in there. So it's a lot of fun for the kids. You can do it at home and do like virtual field trips if you want. There's this activity Dinosaur book that comes with the zoology, and there's different activities in it also. I know my kids love dinosaurs. At least one kid does. How many animals were on the ark? It goes through kind of an explaining. This book can get kind of tough, but just explains the different animals. And then it also uses God's Big Book of Animals, and it's a pretty big book, if you can kind of see. This has been loved at my house. It's kind of fallen apart. It's broken down. You can see that. The birds, and it talks about the birds. Termites. My son thinks this is more of a wish list for animals he's going to get. So this is just a good book to have on hand, not even using the course. And then for high school, they have Elements of Faith, which is really cool. It's like a pre-chemistry course. So it goes through and it talks about the element. And then it talks about how Jesus is the living water. And then it has questions for you to answer. And then some of them you have stuff to make. There's different like slime and stuff. So it goes through each element of the periodic table and its use. So this is really neat too. And this has the test and quizzes and everything in the back also. So it's all in one. So they also have a 7th through 9th grade anatomy, and that so is with there's intro 1 and intro 2. So there's 2 different ones, and these are more in depth than the elementary ones. My high school daughter used these. She was doing a physical therapy program at West Mac, and she actually used these alongside of her course. So they're pretty, they say 7th through 9th, but she used it her 12th grade year too, so it's pretty in-depth. Very informative.
I have a question.
Yes.
How would you say you could use science family style? I would say I have grades 2nd to 8th this school year. You have any ideas on how I could work that?
So there's God's design. So there's God's design for life and God's design for heaven and earth that have a beginner's book, which is for like 1st and 2nd grade, and then they also have the book for 3rd through 8th grade. So
Okay.
I'll show you here. So it just came out with the beginner, but this is for 3rd grade.
What grade is that for?
3rd through 8th grade.
Oh, okay, 3rd through 8th. Okay.
Have your 8th grader read the more in-depth things and probably do all the projects, and not your 3rd grader.
Right.
And then they have the beginners, which is like 1st and 2nd grade that they just sent to the printer, and they just put a preview up online, and it goes along with this. And in the back, so this is, so they do have it, it's not in mine, they do have it where the alternate schedule, so you can use them together. So it would work together, so you could do it family style. So, and then God's Design for Life, I only have the beginners one, but it's the same thing. So you can see, you can get an idea of what the beginners will look like. It's pretty simple, where you just kind of fill in the words. There's activities in the back for them to do. Let's see here. There's scripture time. What is a joint? How do your knees move? Muscles. So there's different things for them to do also. It's grade appropriate. So make your muscles stronger. So there's activities for them to do also that they can do. So, and then like the fingerprints, make your own fingerprints. So that's for the life. The Heaven and Earth is similar, with the activities will be more geared towards the younger kids in the beginner's book. I didn't get a chance to look at the preview, so I don't know what all it entails. You could even do like the zoology together. That would be a fun one together, even the sea, soil, and sky, I think. You might have to get creative. I know that there is, so instead of like labeling the earth, have them create out of Play-Doh a model of the earth with the different layers. You could do that. So there's different activities, and you could just do simpler ones or make it simpler for the younger kids. Junior high, they have the general science. So those consist of the 4 books that you would use. And then there's answers, and there's in the teacher's guide. Let's see here. The teacher's guide, you have the activities, the questions, and then there's activities at the bottom for them to do. But this is for 7th through 12th grade. So I know that my little guy just likes to listen to the kids read sometimes, so I'll just let him do that too. And then they have biology for high school. So, and this is really neat. We did this as a family co-op, family style co-op with Kayleen and her kids. And it's very new and up to date for high school. So, and we did the dissections and everything in the labs together. So there's different. And there's also a microscope book that you can get to go with it. So this book works well with it. It has all the microscope slides that you would need. It kind of shows you. And this was really cool. We used it. We had our microscopes and the slides, but we liked this also because it kind of shows you what you should be looking for, and and the kids. Some of the slides, they wanted you to draw them, so this allowed them to sit and draw what they saw also. There's like the bean. So there's a lot of different. And then they also have a lab kit online that you can purchase to go with it, and it comes with everything you need. That's what I did, and it was easy. It was so easy. I just was able just to pull everything out. Then they also have chemistry, and this is for 10th through 12th grade. The prerequisite they have for this is algebra. So after you take algebra, you could do this because there's a lot of math in it. And this is a fairly new course also. And then they're also coming out with a physics this year, but it got delayed due to COVID. And actually we'll be getting that for next year. So pretty neat. And then the labs for the chemistry. There's like the worksheet that you do. And then there's the lab. You kind of work out the lab on the side, and then they have, I think, a spot. Yeah, and then a spot on the next page where you can write it nice, because some colleges do require lab reports. So, and then, so this is something that we use in our house a lot. It is a timeline. It is 23 feet long, so I'm not going to whip it all out. And actually, I'll show you. I'm going to have a bragging moment here because that's my child, actually children, that's both of them. As they're looking at it, I snapped a picture and MasterBooks put it in their catalog. So pretty cool. So it's really neat, the different panels. It's hard to fit it all there. But like up here it says like Methuselah, Shem, and then it shows you what else is going on in the world, and it talks about the language, different tools and stuff they were using. So this is really cool. We like to just lay it out and kind of notebook through the different panels. And as they did world story and world history, they also pulled it out and looked to see what else was going on in the world while what they were learning was going on. So that was cool. And then they also have a Bible curriculum. It's by Rebecca Spooner. She's pretty popular in the homeschool world. She did this. So there's different artist studies, drawing pictures. So this level is, I think, 1st through 3rd grade. And then she has another level, the 4th through 6th grade. And you can see, like, I just used highlighter and my son wrote over it when he used it. So there's different stories and different journal things in here for them to do. So this is really cool. And like there's key truths. I am the imitator of God, and then there's some copy work in it. So it's really neat also. And then they also have 4th through 6th grade, they have art lessons for living education. And this was really nicely done. So it teaches you different, let's see here, oh dear. So observing lines, observing shapes, colors, value, texture, form, and space. So when I use this with all of my kids, so we kind of did it family style, and for the older ones I added more mediums, more artist studies, and different activities for them. And we were going to do a field trip, but COVID happened. So it's geared for 4th to 6th grade, and you can see like different lines. This is talking about the lines and having you do stuff. So there's the different activities to do. Complete the exercises, doing different shapes, doing the Panda bear there. And then making your own Van Gogh. So it's really neat, and the possibilities are endless. We really liked doing this together as a family. And let's see. I have a lot of high school electives also. There's like worlds, cults, and religions, and it goes through each religion. And yeah. Oh, and this one's so the answers books. And this is for ages 6 through 12, and there's each different questions like that kids would ask or that kids have asked. So this is 22 questions from kids on God and the Bible. Why did God create sin? And that was from Eddie in New Hampshire, and then there's an answer. So it helps you answer questions for your kids also. So we really like these too. We've used these with kids at church also and asked them these questions and had them figure it out. So it really made them think because they didn't know a lot of these questions. So that is the end of my stash.
You realize that you've been doing this for almost 2 hours?
I know. I just looked down and was like, oh my goodness.
It was so good though. It was so good. And I love that you were able, because you have a big family and you have a lot of kids, that you were able to cover what this is like starting at the kindergarten level all the way through graduation. That is incredibly helpful. Does anybody else have any questions for now? I know that Anna is perfectly happy to answer any questions that come to you later on, and especially when it's published and other people can watch it. I know she happily makes herself available for that.
And also, if you're looking at specific courses, MasterBooks has a YouTube channel, and they have done flip throughs with all of their courses. They also have like teaching tips, which is really cool that I like. And also they have author interviews. So like Carrie Bailey that did Simply K and Stepping Stones, they interviewed her. Kristen Pratt with the language lessons, and there's also Angela Odell with her math. She did math helps, so to kind of help the parent and coach the parent on how to teach. So there's a lot of helpful stuff on YouTube for MasterBooks. Yeah.
All right, if nobody has any other questions for now, then we will end it here. Thank you again so much for taking time, and we even got a little like Frozen soundtrack in the background for a while. It was very entertaining.
Toddlers.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording now and then I'll end the session.